Welcome home to Cypress Apartments. This apartment-style hall gives you the freedom of living in your own space with a few close friends, plus the convenience of being right here on campus. Units in Cypress Apartments are made up of 4 single rooms connected to a main kitchen and living area. Each unit has 2 private bathrooms, providing easy access for everyone. Each room comes furnished with a bed, desk, chair, and dresser. Each resident also has a built-in closet space and a window in their room. Every apartment unit contains a fully furnished living area and a kitchen with a refrigerator, oven, stovetop, and sink. If you're looking for a restaurant-style meal, Argos Exchange is just down the road. Here, you can use a meal swipe to get an entree and a fountain drink from different rotating restaurant options. Or try the Bulls Express convenience store if you want to grab something on the go. If you want a more customizable meal, the Hub is just a short walk away. At this dining hall, there are a wide variety of options that change daily, from a burger and fries to vegetarian stir-fry. When it's time to do your laundry, you can visit the laundry room in the community building just outside. Use quarters or swipe your USF ID to pay with Bullbucks. It's up to you. Want some fresh air? Grab your sunscreen and take a walk or jog around our beautiful campus. To learn more about our housing options, visit usf.edu/housing. Get ready to live the Bulls life.
Coming to you from the beautiful University of South Florida campus in Tampa, it's USF Housing Live!
Welcome to USF Housing Live. I'm your host, Julia O'Hara, with Housing and Residential Education at the beautiful University of South Florida in Tampa. Tonight's episode, we'll be talking about how USF supports families, and then a little later about the orientation experience at the university. But before we get started, I wanted to announce that the deadline to enter to win the Academic Success Prize Pack has been extended, and there are still 2 days to enter to win. We are awarding 2 lucky students a MacBook Pro, AirPods Pro, a printer with ink, and a laptop pack. So select your space on campus by this Friday, May 21st at 5 p.m. Eastern to enter to win. All students who are assigned to a space on the Tampa or St. Petersburg campus for the Fall-Spring 21-22 term by this Friday will be included in the drawing. So if you've already selected your room for the fall-spring term, you'll be automatically entered to win this prize. Visit our website to learn more about this contest at usf.edu/housing. And for tonight's episode, we'll be speaking with the Assistant Director for Parent and Family Engagement at USF, Tura Magley, and then speaking with Marnie Hauser, Director for USF Orientation. So be sure to drop your questions in the comments wherever you're watching, and we'll respond to as many as we can throughout the show. So let's get started. Welcome, Tura. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. How are you?
I'm great, Julia. It's so good to be here. While I wish we were together in person, I know that's going to happen soon. So
absolutely,
very excited to be spending some time with you tonight. And hello to all of our parents and families and students who are watching.
Amazing. Thank you for joining us, like I said, and I'm ready for some questions if you are. So you ready to jump in?
Sounds great.
Okay. So to get started, can you tell us a little bit about parent and family engagement and your role in the department?
Sure. So USF supports our families across all 3 campuses at USF. So the Office of Parent and Family Engagement is the office on the Tampa campus that supports our students as well as their families throughout their USF experience. We know that parents and families have played such an important support role in your students' educational journey, and that does not stop once they get to the University of South Florida. And so after your student arrives and starts their enrolled student experience, we are here to serve as a central connector and liaison for you as a family member as you continue to support them throughout their time at the university. And so my role is really to be in it, connecting with our parents and families day in and day out. We host some really exciting events and experiences, and so I'm always happy to host those for our families as well, and to provide that individualized support for students. And so oftentimes our family members are the ones that are telling us that their student is either having a really great experience or sometimes they just need additional help or support in getting connected. And my role at the university is to really serve as that central point who can share, who can take what a family member may share with me and then directly intervene and support that student so that they can get connected to the best people at the right time for their USF journey.
Thank you, Tura. And you mentioned events. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But the next question I have for you, and events might be included in this answer, but how can families become part of the campus community at USF, whether it's virtually, in person? What different resources do you all offer?
Sure. So I'm happy to talk about a couple of different ways. So the first and foremost, I think the most important way as a new family member coming into our community to start to get engaged is by joining our parent and family bulletin. It's a portal, an e-newsletter full of really helpful information, resources, and real-time information to be able to help your students stay on track, important conversation starters to have, and different strategies and tools to support your student, whether they are a first year bull or even as they are getting ready to graduate. So that's the first way I always encourage our families to stay informed. And another way is if you're watching this on our Facebook page, you likely already found us, but we also have a Facebook page where we will often share some helpful tips, resources, and that's on our Facebook page at facebook.com/USF parents. And so that's kind of the first way. The second is we host events and experiences. And so Family and Friends Weekend is a really great opportunity. It will take place this fall from November 5th through 7th. And that is a really great opportunity for you to make memories with your USF student. It is right after midterms, right before that final push to the end of the semester every fall. And so it's really a good time to come to campus to connect with your student, maybe meet some of their new friends, and just have some eyes on them and create some new memories. So that's one of our signature programs. And we also welcome new students and families at the beginning of every term. So this summer and fall, we have some welcome experiences that are planned for our new students and families as well as some really cool opportunities to purchase a brand new Bull Family Pride Pack. So we've never done this before. It's we know that our families love to sport their USF gear wherever they are across the country, across the globe, or even in our backyard of Tampa Bay. And so we'll have some really, really awesome and exclusive designs and opportunities for family members to purchase some gear to support their bull and show how proud they are to have a student at the university. So those are a couple of the ways that they can get connected and engaged on the front end of their experience. And then we also have some really great services to connect when families may need some individualized support for students. And they can find all of that information online at our website, usf.edu/families.
Thanks, Tura. And you mentioned a lot of great events. We're super excited about that because we're coming from a really hard year. The president just made an announcement that we're looking forward to having events take place in the later this summer and in the fall, which we're super excited about. So let's talk a little bit more about those events. Which ones are coming up in the summer, then fall? How can families sign up and get a part of this?
Absolutely. So like Julia just said, President Corral just came out with an exciting message that we will be hosting some in-person experiences for our new families. That may not sound like a big deal, but it really is for us as we have been navigating the pandemic just like everyone else in the world. And so we're really excited to be hosting some in-person experiences while also knowing that our families, we're always engaging with you all digitally, right? You all are not the ones who are on campus day in and day out. So we'll continue to do it in both ways. So this summer, for those families who have students moving onto campus, we will be hosting some welcome experiences. Like I said, we'll be providing those Bull Family Pride Packs for purchase, but then it's just an opportunity to come ask questions. We will be located in the residential spaces where students are moving in, and so it's just a really great way to meet some faculty, staff, and support units who are ready and excited to get to know you as well as your student student throughout their welcome and transition to the university. So we'll be doing that as residents are moving in. And then we have Summer Week of Welcome that takes place, and that is a series of events across all 3 campuses at USF. There will be some really exciting opportunities that are in person, and some really great opportunities for students who are still trying to learn online and also know that they're just navigating life. So we'll have some good virtual experiences for those students and families who are looking for more of that, more ways to get informed and educated in both in-person and online opportunities. So stay tuned for that. The best way for you as a student or a family to stay engaged and up to date is to download the Go Bulls Guide mobile app. It's a mobile app full of helpful guides and resources, and the specific event guide is the USF Student and Family Event Guide, and that will have a full schedule of our Week of Welcome opportunities, not only in the summer, but also in the fall. And so in the fall semester, we will also be welcoming students and families in a very similar way that we are doing this summer. But there are a lot of campus traditions and experiences that will take place that first week of classes for students. And there will be some opportunities for families to engage and also experience some really cool USF traditions as well. So all of those details are coming up as our teams work really quickly to finalize those details, but by downloading the Go Bulls Guides app, that's going to be your student and your family's best resource and real-time opportunity to check out all of the events and experiences that will be taking place during what we call WOW.
Love that. Thank you, Tura. And, you know, we were just talking about how it's been obviously a really hard year, and those that are coming in as a new student maybe just spent the past year plus doing virtual classes. So this transition process is going to be unique, and you know, it comes with its challenges regardless. So what advice do you have for parents as they prepare for this transition of their student being sent to college for the first time?
Sure. So one of the things I think we've really learned, and that I am always really excited to connect with families around, is that transition and change is not only going to happen for your student, they're going to experience a lot of new firsts, right? Like the first opportunities to meet friends and find new opportunities to figure out like what they're interested in. Sometimes that is navigating conflict for the first time, figuring out the differences between their high school or previous institution and the University of South Florida, and just like getting acclimated. So that takes time, and your student will likely turn to you when things get tough. So I know a lot of the times when I talk to families, they just say it feels like such a roller coaster. Like one day they are really excited, and within the next hour, they are calling me and having a really hard time. On the flip side, there are a lot of students who arrive at USF and they are super excited to live some freedom and experience their adult lives. And sometimes that feels like a really quick pulling of a cord for our family members. And so to know that your student is going to uniquely deal with and navigate their transition maybe differently than your other student or children, if you have them, or different than the neighbor down the street did. And so what I would say is that continue to have conversations about how often you all will communicate, asking, you know, when will I really know it's time for me to help support versus when are you venting? I think that that's always such a great, helpful tool for our families. And I do think you're right, Julia. Our families and students have navigated a big transition and complete flipping upside down of our world over the last year and a half. And we know that there are longer term impacts, right? You know, we know it's been stressful for a lot of people to figure out, you know, just the basic things of living life, let alone learning and thriving as as they navigate an academic experience. So what I will say is that if there's one thing I can share is that there are so many resources to help your student, from the counseling center to offices like New Student Connections and Parent and Family Engagement. The students who will live on campus will have such great resources from housing and residential education, and so on and so forth. So if you can help us share with your student that it's normal and it's okay to ask for help, that students go to tutoring, not when they're behind, but in order to stay ahead. There's so many different what I will say life rules that happen once a student gets to college, and it's totally okay to need some support, because it's often the first time they're doing things truly independently, but they don't need to do it alone.
Thank you, Tura. And you definitely touched on it as we talk about the support and preparing your student. So my final questions, two of them. The first one is, how can families best prepare their students for life as a bull? And then obviously, how can they support them throughout the transition? So prepare and supporting, what's your advice on that end?
Sure. So to the prepare point, I'm going to get maybe a little bit more task oriented for a second. So the best way for, I believe, a family to help a student to prepare is knowing that our families tend to play a bigger supporting role from the time that they are applying to the time that they are starting their USF experience. We have the USF New Student Checklist. We also have the USF New Family Checklist. That is the first thing that a family member will see online on our website, usf.edu/families, and that will help our family members identify what are those tasks that a student should be completing and getting through in order to get to the first day of classes, and then on the same side, what are those things that a family can be doing to encourage or support their students to get to day one? The second piece of that preparation question, Julia, is to truly attend family and guest orientation. You will have the opportunity to hear from Marnie and the Office of Orientation after me, but a lot of the times families will reach out and ask me questions or ask folks questions about how their student can best prepare. All students have to attend orientation, but family and guest orientation is so valuable because that's where you can take some of these tasks or these to-do lists and really put it all together and understand the full breadth of the university experience. In terms of how to support a student throughout their transition, I think it goes back to some of those suggestions I shared before. Creating time and space. Sometimes that is in the car when they can't get out, to start some important conversations. Start to have conversations with your student about how often and in what types of communication do they hope to have with you. And then to revisit that, right? Allow your student to be in the driver's seat of some of these decisions, because you'll find that they'll follow through if they're the ones that are kind of creating things on their own terms as they transition not only to college, but oftentimes adulthood as well. The second piece is trying to distinguish whether they are venting just because you are their support system and they are struggling with one of these things that are kind of like, it's the first time I'm trying this. It feels new. It feels different. It's super normal for that to happen. But then to really help them, asking them to help you understand when it stops becoming that venting, or I just need to tell someone about this, to really then have you exhausted your options, right? I think the biggest opportunity for college students is to be able to solve problems, overcome some challenges and obstacles, because that increases their confidence over time, right? The more times that you're able to kind of get through a bump in the road during a transition, that's when confidence building begins. And those are the building blocks to a successful, not only collegiate career, but finding a great job, being an engaged person in this world, and hopefully having lots of happiness and success as well. So you all are really the ones that will continue to parent, but that will just look different in this new season of life.
Thank you, Tura. I always appreciate your insight. You do so well with the families. Your whole office supports so well, and I know it's much appreciated for the families and students that are making this transition and then beyond. Before we cut to a commercial break, I do have two questions that don't necessarily relate to what we're talking about today, Tura, but I do want to address them before we go to commercial break, and then we'll come back and talk about orientation with Marnie Hauser. But Wendy is asking, my daughter's move-in date is August 19th. Does she need to make an appointment, or does she just show up on that day? Wendy, thank you so much for watching. We are planning on having a move-in appointment type system in the fall. So what that means is we will have a few dates in that time period and then different time slots. At the current moment, that is our plan. As we all know, things change rapidly when it comes to a pandemic, so this could change, but we will have more information to announce publicly on move-in in the next few weeks on our website. So checking the housing website often. If your student is ready to move or will be signed up for a space in the fall, they'll be getting an email with all of the information as well, and if they need to sign up. The second question is from Carol. Carol, thank you for watching. And Carol's asking, do students have to wear masks in the fall if vaccinated? That's a great question. We just had an announcement come out from the university this week regarding that, because as we know, the CDC has now come out and said that if someone is fully vaccinated, they no longer need to wear a mask indoors or outdoors, and the university has been following the guidance from the Florida Board of Governors and the CDC when it comes to our COVID response protocol. So therefore, we do not require masks any longer for anyone who's fully vaccinated. However, it's strongly recommended for those who are not fully vaccinated. And there are plenty of opportunities for vaccinations here on campus. So if you have not gotten your vaccine yet, definitely check the university's coronavirus protocol webpage. And I'm not sure if you know that off the top of your head, Tura, that URL. You do? Okay.
I sure do. Of course I do. I frequently visit it every single day. That's the other piece of preparedness, students and families. I think that is the new to-do checklist under these circumstances. And so that email or that website is usf.edu/coronavirus. And so highly recommend that our students and families are reading through those updates, as well as encouraging students to check their USF email. That is where all of this communication will go. And so I know new students typically don't start checking their email sometimes until right before they get started, but please encourage your student to check as soon as yesterday to really continue to stay up to date. And for families, join the Parent and Family Bulletin, because we'll continue to share some broad university updates that way with our parents and families.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tura. And thank you again for taking the time to chat with us this evening.
Of course, we're so excited to have our students joining us, to meet all of you parents and families. And if there's ever any way that I can support your student through their transition, please know that we're here for you.
Thank you. Go Bulls. So it's time for us to take a short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more USF Housing Live right after this.
Welcome home to Maple Hall. Maple Hall offers suite-style rooms. Most suites consist of 2 single-occupancy rooms that share a bathroom, which is cleaned weekly. Some double-occupancy rooms are also available. Every bedroom has a bed, dresser, chair, and desk for every student, as well as a shared closet space and a window. Each floor has a full kitchen with an oven and refrigerator where you can cook your favorite meals. When you don't feel like cooking, the Argos Exchange Dining Hall is just down the road. Here, you can use a meal swipe to get an entree and a fountain drink from different rotating restaurant options. Or try the Bulls Express convenience store if you want to grab something on the go. Another dining option, the Hub, is just a short walk away in the village. At this dining hall, there are a wide variety of options that change daily, from a burger and fries to vegetarian stir-fry. When it's time to do your laundry, you can visit the laundry room on the first floor. Use quarters or swipe with your USF ID to...
Welcome back. I'm Julia O'Hara, and if you're just now joining us, this is USF Housing Live, and we're here to help prepare you to live the Bulls life at USF. Ask us your questions in the comments, and we will answer you live on the show. Before we get to our second guest this evening, I do have a few questions from social media that I'd like to address. Thank you so much for everyone watching, and be sure to continue to drop your questions in the comments, and we will get to them as soon as we can. So Alejandro, thank you so much for watching. Alejandro is asking, can you go over who is eligible for these single dorms? So the eligibility for a single room, there are single spaces that are in the suite style and also the apartment style. And those are really open to any student. So whether you're first time in college or an upperclassman, you do have the opportunity to select that space. However, it is important to note that those are the spaces that go typically the quickest. So if you are looking to select a single space, it's important to get all of your steps to live on campus done quickly, and that way that you can have more of a likelihood to select the space that you're looking for. Another question is there a vaccine requirement to live in the dorms? No, we do not require the vaccine to live on campus, but we do highly recommend getting the vaccine for the safety of you and the safety of others. And so with that, I'd like to introduce our second guest this evening, the Director for USF Orientation, Marnie Hauser. Hi, Marnie.
Hi, how are you tonight?
Good, thank you. Thanks so much for joining us. I have some questions for you, and we already have a question related to orientation from a viewer. So you ready to jump in?
Whenever you are. Let's go.
Okay, awesome. So let's start out. I didn't have this on a list of prepared questions, but I'd like for you to just give a brief introduction to the audience, those that may not have watched an episode from last year, of who you are and your role in the Office of Orientation.
Sure. So thanks again for having me. I'm Marnie Hauser, as you mentioned. I've been at USF for 15 years. This is actually my 16th summer.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Right. Longevity. Love it. And so my role in orientation is basically it's not just programming, but it's also onboarding support. But basically to make sure our students and families are prepared to start at the university. And that's whatever it means to them. And so we talk a lot about seamless transition, but really just kind of that personalized attention, hand-holding if it's needed, high-level support if it's needed. Yes, we do programming. Yes, we offer orientation sessions for first-year transfer and international students, as well as our families and guests. But really, it's just to make sure whatever they need, whether it be academic classes or support with financial aid or student health services or with your own department, Julia, whatever our students and families need, and get them educated and ready to go. So we're just excited that this season is underway and we can get going here with onboarding some new bowls and their families and guests and just really meeting their needs. So
Great.
Yeah.
And can you tell us about this year's orientation structure? Obviously, we've been through a crazy year with a lot of changes. So what does orientation look like this summer going into the beginning of fall?
Sure. So if anybody's been following along on social media, I've seen some questions about this, but we made the decision a few months ago and really have kind of navigated within the state university system in Florida what's in the best interest of our students and families. And so from there, and based even on what we know today, right, about COVID-19 and the CDC guidelines and all of that, we've just decided to remain virtual for this summer-fall onboarding season. And so while many people are ready to go and get back into in-person programming and events, and we're hoping to be able to navigate some of that as the summer progresses and the season kind of lives on, we need to meet the needs right now. And actually the orientation season for all three USF campuses started back in April. And as you know, things were very different back in April. And so we decided again to live virtually. So our students and families will both individually experience what we call the pre-orientation course in Canvas, or pre-orientation modules as we refer to them. So it's all sorts of information to kind of set the tone, high-level information from academic overviews to, like I said before, financial aid information about housing and residential education, student health services, those sorts of things, just to kind of whet the appetite a little bit and meet some of our high-level needs. From there, our students and families, again, individually have the opportunity to participate in live synchronous sessions in teams. The students are required, the families are optional, but we hope our families and guests will join us this summer. But live sessions in Microsoft Teams for our students especially, where they'll connect with their orientation leader and get that peer support. So those two pieces, the pre-orientation modules and the synchronous pieces, are both required as part of orientation attendance and completion. The third part, which we are kind of the navigators or the intermediaries with it, is the academic requirements. And so that might be advising, that might be college overviews, it might be module completion, and that's very much college specific. But it's also making sure our students can register for classes and get their academic credentials underway and supported. So for our families especially, while that is an optional piece in terms of the pre-orientation and the synchronous, it's really in their best interest to participate separate from their students. I know a lot of our families have decided, well, why would I just not watch over the shoulder of my student? Because we are going to tailor all of the sessions to the needs of our demographics. So whether they be students or families, first year, transfer, international, everybody's session components are very different. But we'll be living in a virtual space. We did that very well last summer, and then again for our spring season. So we're kind of there right now, but we're looking at ways to continue to add resources and components that potentially will be in person. So stay tuned for more, but the requirements are online.
Great, thank you. And you touched on this with the family members or the guests, the component of that. But tonight's episode is all about USF families. Sure. As you know, we just talked to Tura from Parent and Family Engagement about the value that families can find at the university. So I'm going to jump down to that question. What value will a USF family member receive during virtual orientation sessions? What is the reason that they should be signing up?
Sure. So we talk really in terms of, as I mentioned, seamless transition, but it's about connections, content, and resources. So helping our families make connections with key university constituents and departments, providing them with the content and tools that will help their students be successful. So helping the families become educated about what it means to be a USF Bull, and navigating the path forward, whether it be taking care of campus business related items or just understanding what the path ahead for their student might be and what it means for their own transition. So talking about how to navigate their transition. Tura and Parent Family Engagement does a phenomenal job with that during our orientation sessions. We partner very closely with that department to facilitate our programs and to make sure we're meeting the needs of our families and guests. And then resources, right? So after they leave our space and leave our sessions, families and guests, they have questions. So helping them make those connections with campus and university resources so they know who to contact or who to direct their student to contact moving forward if they have a challenge or a question or want to get engaged with the university once they start their experience with the University of South Florida. So there's a lot that I could go over in our family and guest sessions, but really it's also the opportunity to ask questions. So our families have told us that they want to hear from current USF students. They want to hear what the experience is like. They want to hear what it's like to navigate the university culture and climate, what it means to get engaged. So we do that. We provide that space for our families to ask those questions to current USF students, our orientation leaders, who will tell them truthfully what it's like, whether that be the highest of highs or even the challenges that they've had along the way. And then again, to think about making those connections with campus partners, it's direct access, right? So rather than trying to figure out how to do things through a website or Google or whatever your vehicle might be, that we provide direct access to our campus our university stakeholders. This year we're doing something new and exciting. So as part of One USF, we are also offering family and guest sessions, 3 of them actually, that we're facilitating with our partners at St. Petersburg and Sarasota Manatee campuses. So it's kind of broadening the horizons of what is possible for our students. We know our students may live on one campus and attend courses at one of our other campuses. And so providing that opportunity to kind of learn from the experts, not just at Tampa, about what it means to be a family member of a student who might be doing something like that, or who has chosen other than Tampa to have their university experience. So we're really excited. We facilitated one of those sessions on May 5th. It was very well attended and received. And so I would just encourage anyone and everyone, if you want to learn more about that and what the opportunities are, yes, there's a fee attached to it, but it's a small fee. And it's our hope that through paying that fee, we can provide more concrete and direct access to our programs and content. So.
Great. And you said fee, so I'm just going to go straight into that question. Before
I opened it up.
Yep, you did. Perfect segue there. What is the fee for a guest to sign up for a virtual orientation? And
Sure.
I can ask what it covers, but you did a really great job of what that does cover as an attendance. But is there anything else that you could add to that?
Sure. So it is $35 for a guest to attend. It's the same as what a student would pay because you're getting the same support, guidance, resources, and connections that a student would get. So that's not to say that we wouldn't support you if you didn't come to our sessions, but there is a fee because we are self-funded through the orientation fee, the state mandated or state regulated, I should say, $35 fee. So we don't receive funding support from the institution as of right now, and so we have to use those funds to provide our programs, to pay our staff, all the resources that are available in technology that we utilize. So that's sort of kind of the operational, answer to it. But really, it's again, that program content, the direct access to our orientation leaders, continuous onboarding support in and out of session. I mentioned, you don't need to pay the fee just to get the support. You can call us with your questions. You can email us, whatever you might need to do to get in touch with us outside of the scope of the actual facilitated orientation sessions. We're on social media, so you can check us out there, post your questions, those sorts of things.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to cover 2 questions that came in about housing, and then I have a couple of audience questions about orientation. So Nicole is asking when summer housing applications close. So there is no date for summer or fall applications closing. We accept applications up until actually the semester has started, but I will say that if you're looking for a very particular type of room or space, you should apply early and select your space as soon as possible to get that space. It's also important to note that we have gone on a wait list in the past. So it's important to get that application in as soon as you can, so that way you are in, you don't have to select your space right away, but you have an application on file. And then Valentina is asking, when do housing applications for fall 2021 open up? They are open now. We have our fall spring term applications open. You can go to usf.edu/housing, and then the bottom left banner there, you'll see the housing portal. You can just click on that, and that'll take you straight to the housing application. So now we're going to go into 3 audience questions about orientation. Love this engagement. Thank you, everyone, for watching. So Janine is asking, as a parent, I registered for the pre-orientation session. Will I automatically receive a link for the live session on the date my son is signed up for?
So you wouldn't, and hi Janine, thanks for registering. For pre-orientation for families and guests, you get added to those sessions just like your student would. So we add you as soon as that reservation is made. The link for your session is different than the link for the student session. And that's very intentional because the link is attached to the reservation date. So whatever session date that you selected or your student selected, that's the link that you'll receive. So for the family and guest session, be checking your email. We will email that link to you prior to the session date, the live session that occurs in Teams, Microsoft Teams. We'll email that link to you ahead of the session date. If you have trouble getting in touch with us or you haven't received that link, you can certainly reach out to us. And I know before we close here, I'll give you that information on how to do that. But just remember, your student's link is for the student session and the family link is for the family and guest session. They are 2 different things. If you're still confused about that, reach out to us and we'll help you navigate that.
Great. Thank you, Marnie. And Karen is asking, my son was doing his pre-orientation for his college, and it says he must complete the module quizzes at 100%. He didn't get 100% on those quizzes and can't see a way to retake them to get 100%. Do you know anything about how to get that to happen, or if that will affect his moving forward and orientation?
So for the pre-orientation modules, we do require the students to complete at 100%, and that's to make sure that they've actually done all of the modules and all of the work. So if for some reason the students are having trouble going back to a particular module, or it won't let them progress any further, the best thing to do is just to dash my office an email, and that is myorientation@usf.edu. And I'll give you that before we disconnect here again. But just have your student or yourself reach out to us, and we'll figure out what's going on. We can look on the back end and help triage that. If it's something attached to one of the academic colleges and not the pre-orientation, university pre-orientation course that my office manages, then you would need to contact that academic college. But start with us, and we'll help you figure it out. Everything is solvable here, so not to worry too much about that. And we have plenty of time to figure it out. So just reach out to my office, and we'll go from there.
Great, thank you, Marnie. And Wendy asks, my daughter and I are registered for the Live Family Virtual Orientation on August 18th. We have to travel to Florida on that day for her August 19th move-in. My daughter tried to move it to one of the July dates, but all the other dates are full. Can we get into an earlier date if they're full?
That would be something you'd want to connect with my office about. So there's probably a reason why the August 18th session was a good fit for you. And we can work through whatever those challenges might be. So if you're traveling on that day, obviously you won't be in front of a computer. So we can't have you in that session because you won't be successful, right? So let's go ahead and figure that out. So again, that would be another instance to either call or email my office. We are checking our emails all the time, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, but oftentimes after hours this time of year. So just go ahead and email my office what the concern is. We'll need the student's university ID number and the session date that they're registered for, and then we'll figure out how we can get them into an earlier session. And typically, and this is an assumption on my part, but if you said traveling, I'm assuming you're coming from out of state. And so our out of state students are typically funneled into our later sessions. But that doesn't mean there is an opportunity to attend earlier. So let us take a look and see what we can do for you.
And to that point, Marnie, just to throw this out there, we have a preliminary plan to have the housing move-in dates be multiple dates that you can sign up, kind of like we did last fall. That is the plan currently, but as we know, things can change. I mentioned this earlier in the broadcast, so we haven't released that publicly, but we will be in the next few weeks. So, and we can talk about it tonight too. So we do plan on having a couple of days be the move-in process, and you sign up for a slot that's a few hours long. So it could be that you can move in a little bit earlier or a little bit later. We don't know the dates yet, but it could be that we work around that too. So definitely connect with the orientation office, and we can work through that. And then this question, I'm not sure about the answer to this, so I'm going to ask you, Marnie. You don't have to know the answer, but I'm just curious. You might know since you probably work with the card office quite often with orientation. When should a student that is starting in the fall get their USF card? What's the process with that? Do you know?
Sure. Actually, I do. So, awesome. So through the My Bulls Path onboarding portal, and those folks who are on here this evening may already be familiar with that. My Bulls Path onboarding portal, there is an opportunity to go ahead and have the student gain access to their university ID card. So there's a card, what we call tiles within My Bulls Path, that is specific to the university ID card. So they would just click on the link that's on that card, and it would take them directly into the system. They would upload a photo, answer some questions, and then once they've completed that process, it'll give them information about card pickup times, locations, and the next steps. So it's a fairly simple process. They don't have to do it today, but I would definitely recommend you take care of it maybe about a week or two prior to arriving in the fall, just to ensure. And if you're already in the area, you can take care of it now. Beat the rush to pick up cards, those sorts of things. Have it ready for you and ready to go. So if you're in the area, don't wait. If you need to wait because you're out of state or several hours away, or it's just not convenient to get to campus and or to go online and take care of that process, then I would go ahead and do what's best for you. But access it through My Bulls Path, which you log in with, the student logs in with their net ID and password, and then it'll give them access to going and obtaining that card. But you have to do it online, and then the next step is to pick it up.
Thank you, Marnie. And I'm going to go back to Maxine's question from earlier. She asked this when we were speaking with Tura. She is asking, is there a student orientation before August 18th?
We have what is open. There are several dates that are still open and available for first year and for transfer students that are open through both June and July. So the short answer is yes. There are several sessions that are open before August 18th. There is a first year session and an international session scheduled for August 18th as well. But if that's not what's going to be, in the best interest of your student to attend that day, then certainly there are other opportunities. If you're not seeing, or your student isn't seeing another available date, there's probably a good reason for that based on how we have our events set up. But that would be a quick contact to our office, and we'll help get the student into an earlier session. But the short answer is yes, there are plenty of dates that are still open, available, and prior to August 18th.
Great. Okay, I'm going to jump into some of my pre-planned questions now. If you're watching the broadcast live, keep those questions coming. We'll jump back to the audience questions in a bit. But the next question I have for you, Marnie, is what are the different orientation options this year for students and/or families?
Sure. So the short answer for that as well is really there's only one option, and that is virtual. So there are other institutions that are offering in-person, hybrid, virtual, those sorts of things. The university has decided that it's in the best interest of our students and families to continue in a virtual capacity for this summer. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you were listening and online with us, that we may be facilitating additional support programs, engagement opportunities throughout the summer and prior to the August or fall start of the fall semester, August 23rd. But for the orientation requirements, we are virtual and online. So there wouldn't be other options at this point that a student could or family member could choose.
Great. And what should an incoming student and family member expect during their orientation session? So I know that you've gone over a lot of the experience and what to expect,
Sure.
But a summary of what to expect when going in.
Sure. It's an opportunity to meet peers and our orientation leaders, so to make connections with other USF students. They should expect, from an operations standpoint, to be online for the better part of the day. Our programs are a little long. They're several hours long, but there's tremendous content that is given during those sessions. There, as I just mentioned, opportunities to engage with other new USF students and start building relationships, even in a virtual space. We still do that. There's opportunity to get engaged and have support from orientation leaders. For family members, it's to get their questions answered, to meet university stakeholders and partners, to learn information from them, to hopefully get their questions answered. Our schedules at a glance are posted on our website, and they're by student and family demographics. So I would recommend checking those out to get more information on what actually occurs during both the student and family and guest sessions. So from an expectation, I think you should expect to learn a lot. I think you should come in with an open mind and be ready to go. You should get excited about being a university student, a USF Bull, and joining the Bull community. And really just get ready to go, because that's what we're all about. We're all about building affinity to the university and making sure students and families are supported in their transition.
Amazing. It's going to be very exciting for everybody that's coming in, and you all do a great job with that, even in the virtual capacity. I know it has its challenges, but you do a great job. This question from a viewer is for both of us. So can you say the spring, so let's see, actually, here we go. My daughter was admitted to USF for the spring. When does the spring housing start, and orientation as well? So typically our spring only applications will open up in early September for housing, and then move-in is in early January. So as far as the orientation sessions, Marnie, do you have that timeline?
We haven't set the dates yet for the spring sessions, but traditionally we host orientation sessions for the spring admitted students in December and early January. So just prior to when the spring semester would be starting. So I would look for those dates to be posted probably sometime late August, early September. We're navigating what type of modality those sessions will be in. So that may be where we start to see hopefully some either virtual or in person or a hybrid opportunity for our students and families and guests. But that's still to be determined at this point. But I would look for the dates in late August, early September. We typically post those on our website early enough so students have opportunity to kind of see what's going to be in the best interest of further attendance. And then for you, viewer, we start taking reservations in mid-October for that onboarding season. So for the spring admitted students, and your student will start getting emails from us just prior to when we start taking reservations.
Thank you, Marnie. And I did lose your audio on my headphones, so I don't think we're no longer connected, but the audience can still hear you, and I only have one question left for you. So good timing on our part for us to get disconnected over the phone. So I'm just going to have the audience be left off with your thoughts on, or your information on how viewers can get in touch with the orientation office, and what should viewers do to find the latest information about orientation. And when I see you stop talking, I'll know we're done for the evening.
I think I heard your question. I get disconnected from my phone, but I did turn the audio back on my computer. So you were asking for contact information for us, is that correct?
Yes, okay. Probably heard me through the Teams call, so yep.
I did.
I think you answered the question.
So our web address is usf.edu/orientation. Our email address is myorientation@usf.edu. And if you either email us or go to our website, all of our phone numbers, we do have campus phone that's being answered as well as a Google Voice number. Those are listed on our website, so rather than rattling those off to you right now, either send us an email or go ahead to our website and you'll see those phone numbers there. We're also on social media, so check us out on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and we'll get your questions answered and provide information to you. And I'm also excited to say that we'll be back in our office campus location in the Allen Building, room 102, starting on June 28th. So you can visit us in person too. We'll be there Monday through Friday.
Thank you, Marnie. And thank you for answering all the questions tonight. We really appreciate having you on. And if you have any additional questions about living on campus at USF, you can reach our office by email at housing@usf.edu or by phone at 813-974-0001. A few reminders before we go. The summer 2021 and fall/spring 21-22 housing applications are open now. So be sure to submit your housing applications as soon as possible so you can select your room on campus and live the Bulls life this year. The Living Learning Communities applications are also open and will close on June 15th, so submit your application soon. And be sure to join us for our next episode of Housing Live on Wednesday, June 2nd at 7 p.m. We'll be talking about your academic success at USF. You can watch on our Facebook or YouTube page, the USF Class of 2025 Facebook group, or the USF Parent and Family Engagement Facebook page. USF Housing Live is produced by Housing and Residential Education at the University of South Florida in Tampa. Our motto is best place to live, best place to work, and best place to learn. Thank you to tonight's guests, Tura Magley and Marnie Hauser, for joining me this evening. Thank you to our production crew, to you, our viewers, and of course, there's always just one last thing. Go Bulls! Good night, everyone.